All right, well, let's go ahead and meet our players for the next match. Our first player, hailing from Ukraine. He's been here before. Can he do it again? Please welcome Neirea. His opponent, representing the USA. Please welcome to the stage, Kolento.
Quarterfinal number 3, Kolento versus Neirea.
Neirea is a very consistent player, and I watch him like for 3 or 4 years, and he plays in lots of playoffs.
I think Kolento is a very good player. I didn't look all the deck choices Kolento made, but I think I'm really favored against him.
Neirea is definitely hard to defeat, and his lineup is kind of counter me, so I need to stay focused and not to make many misplays.
I don't really think about opponents, like how strong they are, because it can get into your head. I should just concentrate on my game, basically.
I'm surprised to be that close to the World Championship, and I feel really happy about it.
Kolento versus Neirea. Let's see what you got.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Spring Championship. Kolento versus Neirea match about to begin. And Nathan, this one I think is going to be really good. Both players bring control lineups. We've yet to see sort of that control versus control battle here at the Spring Championship. And I, for one, am pretty excited.
These are two of the best players out there when it comes to the long-term planning. Neirea, he's always loved playing a control style, a lot of times alongside like a combo bursting style. I remember watching him way back in the day. He loved to play Miracle Rogue. He would always have some crazy warrior deck that used Raging Worgen in charge. And a lot of that play culminated to the situation he's in now, where those combo decks are not quite as available in this particular format, but the long-term decision-making still there.
Yeah, and we can take a look at their deck list side by side. There's really only one difference, and that's in the Paladin versus Rogue. Since both players are bringing control lineup, they are sort of forced to ban Danger because of its prowess against the entire rest of their field. So it's really going to be about those two separate decks, Quest Rogue and Control Paladin, if they can take a win, and those should be pretty good in those control mirrors. So we're going to have to see how it's going to play out. I think Neirea is a slight favorite because of that deck choice, but it's really anybody's game going into it.
Yeah, Quest Rogue can apply a lot of pressure to Kolento due to some of the tech choices that he's made. In his Paladin deck, he's, it's really heavy towards the top end. He's got Tier 8, he's got Rag Light Lord, he's got Lay on Hands, a lot of slow cards in here, even in Elise the Trailblazer, to try to buy that long-term value. I think that his Paladin's got a great shot at dominating the lineups here. His Mage deck has a copy of Eater's Secrets if they face that mirror match, but I'm very worried about Kolento's ability to adequately combat the Quest Rogue from Neirea.
We're going to start things off with a pretty important match, Neirea with the Bird Mage. I think this might be one of the decks that he struggles to find a win with the most, given the fact that Kolento said when we were talking to him that his lineup is sort of built to counter Freeze Mage. He expected a ton of Freeze Mage. One of his main practice partners was Tom, 60229. Kolento originally from Taiwan, but has lived in the United States for a long time now. And so he still practices with some of the Taiwanese players. And Tom himself has such a storied career. And they practiced a bunch against Freeze Mage. They expected it to be popular. It wasn't popular. Mage was the only player to bring it, but his deck still has a ton of game against the Control Mage. And so I think Neirea, this is the deck that he's going to struggle to win with the most. So it's a really important matchup right off the start.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. A lot of the tech choices and just the lineup choices in general you'll make to counter Freeze Mage happen to just splash over to what Burn Mage looks like. It wants to end the game, oftentimes with Alex Straza and then a critical mass of burn. And Kolento's game plan is to apply enough pressure that Neirea has to use some of those burn spells, focusing on board-centric things, and then have the heal afterwards to keep himself outside of the danger zone. And those tools being there means that Kolento he's kind of free to play this game how he wants. I mean, notice how aggressive he's already gotten with the early Wild Pyromancer. This is a card that's typically reserved for counterplay. In this situation, Kolento says, you know what, I'm going to apply pressure and force Neirea's mana.
Definitely like it. Also, we talked about the copy of Lay on Hands. Again, it's another tech choice for, he said, Freeze Mage specifically, but going to be good in this matchup as well when we're talking about late game, the Mage wanting to just burn you out.
Yeah, some of the other things to talk about, too, are the way that the mages are built. On Neirea's side, he's got a copy of Counterspell, and the one that really sticks out to me is the 2 copies of Volcanic Potion. That's a card that very much is aimed towards the idea of aggressive strategies. In this particular matchup, those Volcanic Potions do not service as a very strong tool.
Definitely don't. So we're also talking about, you know, just these player stories coming up to this point. Neirea, this is his 2nd top 8 in a row at a global championship in 2017. So it's at this exact same point in the winter season, ended up losing to Frozen in that quarterfinal match. So Neirea's been in this position before, and he said he would hate to see himself lose 2 top 8s in a row. He said that he would actually, if he knew that he was going to lose in the top 8, he would have rather have lost 0-2 in his group stage than do that because of how heartbreaking it is. So a pretty big deal.
It's a big statement, too, because there's a lot of money at stake for these guys as they're playing in this tournament. The notion that mentally he would rather experience that as quickly as possible, like a Band-Aid, just right off, than win some extra money and be disappointed later on is kind of astonishing to me.
Yeah.
I'll take the money. Just saying.
Just doesn't want to be crushed.
But that's been something that I don't want to say has plagued Neirea, but kind of has. This guy's had a lot of success in his career, but you look at it, it's top 4s, it's top 8s, it's top 16s, it's 2nd places.
That big win in an HCT event has eluded him. So I think World Championship is a goal, getting to his 2nd World Championship, mind you.
Oh yeah, very few players with that accolade.
But winning the whole thing has got to be in the back of his mind. And, as we get through these slow early turns, Kolento once again sort of going a little bit wide on the board. Not really other options. But talking about Kolento a little bit, Kolento, he actually competed in the Asia Pacific preliminaries during last year and at the beginning of this year. And the funny thing is, he actually lived in San Diego during that time.
That's right.
But his account was registered to Asia Pacific. He actually flew from California to Taiwan multiple times to compete in the preliminaries there because his account was a Taiwanese account. Pretty crazy to think that. And now in his first season here in the Americas playoffs, makes it all the way. So pretty cool story.
It's dedication to the game. You heard Brian say it before we got into this match. He put his PhD on hold to play Hearthstone for a bit, to give this his best shot and see if this is an area where he could make it happen. Fruits of his labor are showing through right now, but still one more match to go for the goal that he set for himself during his interview. Top 4, make it to Worlds.
Yeah, one of the things you may know Kolento for is he's hit the first player to hit Legend in multiple seasons. He actually has a deal with his neighbor. His neighbor, who, by the way, introduced him to Hearthstone, introduced him to the game. He said his neighbor doesn't play that much. He's a casual player. But his neighbor said he would buy him a free dinner for every time he hits Legend first on a server.
Yeah.
And Kolento says he's been cashing in. He's got a lot of free dinners.
Three
free dinners.
In fact.
3 times he's been the first player to hit Legend. Twice in Asia Pacific and once in the Americas.
It's not really that much of a surprise when you consider how much he's played the game as well. We talked to him about what deck styles he likes to play. He's very much like Neirea, loves the long-term planning, loves the combo control style. He said Demon Handlock and Patron Warrior were 2 of his favorite decks of all time. He said he had over 10,000 games of Patron Warrior played.
Those high-skill decks, that's what he likes. And moving forward, Neirea has the Gluttonous Ooze. Pretty important here, actually, because Kolento was actually starting to apply a ton of pressure.
Right. I mean, that's something that has just happened as a product of Kolento simply using his resources to put pressure on Neirea. Oftentimes, Neirea wants to save Gluttonous Ooze for a moment where he can kill a Tarion, nail an Ashbringer. That's about as big of a life swing in terms of Kolento's damage reach as you can get. But that aggressive play that Kolento's been applying has instead forced this Gluttonous Ooze early, which means that if Neirea can't save that Tyrion for as long as he'd like, it doesn't pan out. Quonet goes for the Dirty Rat here. No minion in Neirea's hand.
And he raised his eyebrow. He was expecting there to be a minion. He said, well, if something big comes out, I'm okay with it because I have a lot of taunts in the way. And Neirea doesn't have too many minions that when placed on the board can punish it. There's no Archmage and Tinnitus. There's Medivh the Guardian and Alex Strauss in the top end. And if both of those, if you pull those out with Dirty Rat, you're happy. Oh, man.
That's a big one. That's a big turn. Neirea going purely for development to try to fight proactively on this board and be able to save some of this burn for later on. Gets punished by the Kodo, but he's got backup for it. Earth Elemental. That's about the biggest one you get.
The biggest one with pretty much no downside. You can get Bitter Tide Hydra, but Bitter Tide Hydra in this situation could end up being a liability because then you have to worry about your health total. But Earth Elemental, that's just a big idiot. A big old pile of stats. Clear a minion, build a 7/8. Love it.
Now, the one concern I have for Neirea is he's out of card draw at this point. He's only got a single copy of Acolyte of Pain. We've seen one of the Primordial Bliss used. And he didn't draw a Mana Worm or an Arcanologist, so there's quite a few weak draws in his deck right now. He has to make do with what he's got, and Quonet's starting to approach those turns where he's going to be buying some significant value, and Neirea says, you know what, I got to turn up the heat. Let's use this burn right now. Let's push this Earth Elemental, put Quonet to the test right now.
And interesting choice from Neirea there. Instead of going with double Medivh's Valet for additional development, he actually went for a Medivh's Valet and a Frostbolt because he understands that one of Quonet's roads to victory at this point is to clear his board right now with an equality. And he doesn't want to develop into it. They're both going to be 3 damage as this game goes on. The secret that he has up is Ice Block. So they're both essentially the same. Frostbolt does have the upside of being able to freeze a weapon later on in the game. But he thought to himself, hey, I think I want to go a little bit light on the board right now and utilize this Frostbolt in order to make sure that I stick a minion later on.
Uh-oh. Oh, look at this. What?
He was testing for Counterspell since the secret was played last turn.
I thought he was going to go for the Tyrion when he played that Redemption. Man, that's a recipe for disaster right now. You know, Quonet doesn't know it, but there's a Polymorph in Neirea's hand. So one of Quonet's goals with pressure is to apply enough to see if he can force that Polymorph out of Neirea.
Yeah.
Or maybe make a read. You know, Neirea has to clear something very inefficiently, and Quonet goes, must not have that Polymorph.
I think that's going to be how Quonet's going to have to play this game, especially with Dirty Rat not pulling a minion. Knows that the whole hand is essentially spells. There's a couple spells that have been in the hand for a long time, notably the Polymorph on the far left. So unless he's forced into playing Tyrion, I can imagine that we're going to see something else big.
Oh, that
Primordial Drake is going to do some work.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy big, it's easy game, but it's an easy Drake.
Not that easy.
It looks pretty easy to me.
No, the game.
Oh, no, that's hard. I'm not Kolento. It's not easy.
Nobody's Kolento.
Except Kolento.
Sometimes he's not even Kolento.
This is deep.
Whoa.
You ever, like, not yourself?
Let me think.
That's me all right.
I'm curious what Quonet's really the tank about here. I mean, this is, you know, maybe he thinks that expending the Wicker Flame Burn Bristle is a little bit better since his second equality activation is the Primordial Drake. Yeah. Oh, he also wants to heal up in the Danger Zone, seeing the Firelands portal. So Quonet looks at this and goes, that's 2 Firelands portals that's been used at me now? I think I got to worry about this.
Turns out it wasn't that easy.
Oh my, and Neirea gets the biggest draw in his deck right now. With the way that his hand has been dwindled due to the value he's been expending to apply counter pressure, he needs these big minions to pull weight right now. Again, he's out of card draw. All his Firelands portals are gone. That burn was spent before Alex Straza, so there's still more healing left in Quonet's deck. That Medivh is the best draw in Neirea's deck, I think.
Yeah, this play sort of plays around a couple things from Quonet. He was at 13, so double Fireball plus a ping. would have killed him. So a really smart play by him. Also setting Wicker Flame, instead of going for, say, Hero Power and go up, it challenges the big game hunter, but also if Neirea were to pick up an Alexstrasza, he'd have immediate healing from the Wicker Flame.
Whoa, look at this. Neirea's going to expend a charge of the Atiesh, get the Medivh's Valet online.
I like that.
Hit face for 4. This shows you how desperate Neirea feels right now. I mean, these are very inefficient plays. But what's happening is he's hoping to make up that efficiency with the board presence. When you see Quonet play that weak to your big game hunter, maybe Neirea's thinking, guess he doesn't have Primordial Drake, but you've seen him play the Curator. I don't understand. He knows it's there. Is the big game hunter worth 4 damage right now?
I think so.
And an Atiesh charge?
Even if Primordial Drake comes down here, he's got the Polymorph for it. And then he can push 7 more damage. He gets a 4-drop out of it.
I don't know, Teach. Means Tyrion's open now.
Is it too late, though?
Oh,
man. 11 damage pointed at the face.
Honestly,
Quonet goes down to 14.
I think it is too much. The amount of pressure that was applied due to this Medivh is just, it's insane now. If Quonet goes for Peacekeeper Kodo, look how much damage he's staring down. If he goes for Tyrion, Tyrion's checked by Ping and Medivh. This was brilliant aggressive play from Neirea. That 4 damage was absolutely worth it, Admirable, in the past.
If he goes for Tyrion here, he is dead.
I think he's dead no matter what he does.
Aldor Peacekeeper, Faceless Shambler, does that save him? No. I don't think so.
Let me think.
It's not even close.
This is going to be an important win for Neirea.
He knows when to turn that corner. He knew the value game wasn't going to be won in that fashion. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, that's 14 damage. Well, no, he's a mana off because he can't Flame Strike and Ping in the same turn. But setting Quonet to 1 here.
Go Arcanologist, Coin, Volcanic Potion. Can't play the next secret. He only has an Ice Block left. It's already set.
So Flame Strike, Coin, Ping off the Kodo.
Set him to 1.
You can Ping off the Kodo or you can set him to 1. Flame Strike, I think, is for sure. This wipes out the counter pressure of the board.
I would set him to 2.
He's got Counterspell up, too. I mean, Lay on Hands can't heal him. Quality's already checked.
Doesn't lose from here.
Yeah. Brilliant play.
Still got 2 Fireballs left in his deck. Still got a Pyroblast left in his deck. Ton of burn in the bottom. He's even got Primordial Glyphs.
He's got 1 of them.
1 Primordial Glyph.
Yeah. 3rd Firelands portal. Helped out heaps this game. So did Medivh.
Yeah. Pretty average on the 3. Got Big Game Hunter, Ali Armor Smith, and the Earth Elemental, and Quonet taps out Neirea. An important win in game number 1. He's off to a great start.
At what point do you stop playing Control and start playing the aggressor? That's a tough question to answer anytime you're playing a slower build. Neirea's experience in that one guided him perfectly. He found the exact moment. He used the Polymorph on a target that wasn't Tyrion because he turned that corner. Tyrion was a non-factor in that game.
Yeah, and you know, taking a look back, Neirea, exact same position just a few months ago in winter. And I think no one was really more surprised than Neirea when he failed to qualify for the World Championship after his performance there. But now he's back at Spring for a Shadow Redemption. So take a look.
I think now I'm more motivated than in Bahamas.
quarterfinals. Neirea versus Frozen. This is actually a huge match for both of these players.
Don't want to lose twice in top 8, you know? It probably doesn't feel good.
Not feeling too fantastic here for Neirea at all.
Frozen, ladies and gentlemen, has done it, coming back from a huge deficit. That was Neirea's chance at booking his spot to the World Championships.
My end goal is always to win the World Championship, right?
Neirea
Says goodbye to the Winter Championships.
In the Bahamas, it didn't work out, even though I played well. But this time, I won't choke.
And as we look back on the Bahamas, Neirea, going into that championship, he said he wasn't playing Hearthstone that much. He said he didn't really practice as much as he should have, and his lineup had some showing weaknesses, especially more so than it does here. This time around, he had some pretty big practice partners.
Oh yeah, he practiced with Fino. He practiced with RDU, and I know Neirea. I've talked to him a lot about strategy and preparation. A lot of times he simply theory crafts the game, or he watches other people play. Won't put a ton of effort into the actual mechanisms of the game. He's very confident in that area. But for this one, he said for 3 weeks leading up to the event that he practiced an average of about 5 hours a day, dedicated specifically to this tournament.
And we talked about, with Neirea, about his practice leading up to the Bahamas, and he said, I'm just playing Hearthstone a couple hours a day. Most of my time is spent watching Hearthstone, or even playing other games. So, you know, that's a big difference, and a prepared Neirea is a scary Neirea, and he's got a 1-0 lead now. So we'll move into the next game in a moment. But in the meantime, we're having a lot of fun here at the Spring Championship. You know, we're not just here to watch. We're here to have a full Hearthstone experience, and I think a lot of the fans are enjoying it. There's tons of, you know, influencers, personalities. There's some of the Hearthstone developers here that are signing posters, signing T-shirts. We have a ton. We saw the puzzle wall. Everybody was given a puzzle piece when they came in, and it's starting to come together. Also, we're selling a ton of merchandise. I know you, Admirable, were over there yesterday. They have these mystery bags. So it's like opening a Hearthstone pack filled with merchandise. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love doing that. And this is one of the reasons that I've always loved these big events so much. It's a celebration of the game where all these like-minded individuals who just love the game have come together to experience it in a more in-depth scenario. That's what's kept me playing cards for as long as I have. And without events like these, I don't think I'd be here. Well, I certainly wouldn't be here. I wouldn't make any, there'd be no event or whatever. I'm sorry, I quickly turned that downhill on the logic train. But
what came first, the Admirable or the event? It's an existential crisis. I understand. Don't worry. All right, well, we're moving into game number 2 here. Neirea's going to throw out the Quest Rogue and Quonet with his own version of the Burn Mage, the Control Mage. And Quonet, very similar list to Neirea, but with a few key differences here.
Yeah, the major difference is that he's got a copy of Eater's Secrets in the deck, meant to play a big tech against that mirror match of Mage. That's out of the equation now. Something else to look at is he's gone a bit more on the defensive route, I'd say, with his earlier tools. There's a Blood Mage Thalos in there. Oftentimes you couple that with the 2 copies of Volcanic Potion, make sure you can wipe out 3 health boards against Shaman. That's a very common thing right now. And he's also got a copy of Ice Barrier in place of that counter spell that we saw in Neirea's deck. So playing a much more defensive, reactive style than I think what we saw from Neirea, where he was able to turn that corner very quickly and really put Quonet to the test.
Neirea setting up the dagger hit, a play that we've come to expect. No need to play the quest until you know what minion you want to complete the quest with. A lot of times it's with Flame Elemental. Firefly is almost always a better play than quest on turn 1 if you're playing in a matchup where you want that early board. And this is definitely one, even though it is a control-y deck, it still can work its way up the curve. Mana Worm, Arcanologist, Medivh's Valet.
Yep. One of the big things to consider too is just what the chip damage means. The discovery of the turn 1 Firefly rather than the quest was a big breakthrough in this deck's dominance, where before it felt like it got rushed down too often, and oftentimes you felt helpless. When players realized that you didn't need the immediate quest completion and to play it as fast as possible in order to maximize your win rate, that's when we saw this deck really start to take over the metagame.
Sato was saying it earlier, you know, Well, you know, it's a beauty to watch in tournaments sometime. I think it's the, you know, the other players, it's fun to watch. It's fun to, you know, see players navigate at the highest level. Sometimes not fun to play against, but I gotta say, I'm gonna miss it a little bit. I think it'll still make some tournament appearances, you know, if the meta goes full control. The 5 minion change, you'll still be able to complete the quest in a decent amount of time against slower decks. But taking a look at this matchup specifically, the Burn Mage wants to do just that. They want to make sure that they control the early board and then switch to Burn. It's all about making sure that you get enough damage in early to be able to kill the quest rogue before they're able to complete the quest, pop your ice block, and kill you. You do have a ton of time to do so. It's just about finding those pieces. Oh, Eater Secrets.
That's the card he was open, was number 30 in that deck. Because that is a 4-mana 2/4 in this matchup.
Yeah.
Unless Swashbuckler steals a secret.
Yeah, there's 2 Swashbucklers in Neirea's deck, but none in the hand, so it's a very fringe case scenario. Swashbuckler does have a reasonable chance of drawing the secret because of the amount of secrets in Mage, but not enough to warrant being happy that you've drawn Eater of Secrets in the matchup.
If he Swashbucklers a secret, I've got it checked.
It's now a 3/5.
Thank goodness I drew that one. Pretty ugly looking hand at this stage. Novice Engineer, of course. Well,
Not so ugly anymore.
No, it is not ugly anymore. That hand now looks pretty darn good.
Funny thing about Quest Rogue, one draw makes your hand from terrible to great.
It's like the giant puzzle for the teaser trailer. It's not complete until that last piece is in place.
That last piece could come at any time.
It's always like right in the center too. You know, like when you're doing puzzles and you just, that one piece in the middle, you just can't find it. You're like, where did I drop it at?
Yeah, 100%. Do puzzles all the time.
It's been in your pocket the whole time. You don't even know how it got there.
Yeah, I'm a real puzzler.
So many.
Next thing you know, you've given up puzzles and you cast Hearthstone.
That's what I transitioned into. I used to cast puzzles.
Same. Couple times.
That is only the first Flame Elemental coming out.
Yeah, I think wise to go with the Firefly here as well. In the slower matchups, it's very easy to justify using Firefly as the bounce rather than the Flame Elemental because you simply have the time to do it. In the more aggressive matchups, usually the mana efficiency trumps that value.
Yeah, that 1 mana can make a difference sometimes.
Yep. I mean, we've seen Counterspell on Coin delay quest progress, you know, by a full turn before.
Neirea takes
What to do.
a lot of pride
To do.
in his deck list and his creativity. And also, he thinks that Europe as a region just sort of has that additional prowess over the other regions of their deck building going into tournaments. We actually talked to him about it, so go ahead and take a look.
For the question which region is strongest, I usually go by decks, right? Not involving the skill of players, because for most of the players, I don't know how well they prepared and how well they can play in such high pressure situations. So I would say just by decks, Europe still has the strongest decks.
And again, looking back on the Bahamas, one of the weaknesses of Neirea was the fact that his deck lists were not optimized. He said if he had brought a different Warlock deck, he could have won the whole thing. One weak deck can mean you have a weak tournament. And in this tournament, with what his lineup's trying to do, I don't think he has a weak deck.
Doesn't look like it.
And with an Igneous Elemental drawn, he also doesn't have a weak hand.
He didn't really have a weekend before, to be perfectly honest.
He did need another bounce effect. That counter right now for the quest is actually for Fireflies and not Flame Elementals.
Oh, that's right.
So we did need one
Good point.
additional bounce in order to secure the quest completion. Igneous Elemental serves that purpose just fine.
And also because Neirea didn't have one of those insane starts where you get the quest completion and get it online super quick, the value will mean something as this game goes on. And you see Clonet here. This is how desperate he is for that damage. He goes, you know what? This 2/2 is probably going to die anyway.
Well, this is a quest completion. And
He's
not
got
only
prep.
that, he can prep out the quest then play South Sea Deckhand and attack with patches. I don't know if he's going to do that. A lot of times you want to save charge minions for your hand when you're playing against control lineups to go for a one-turn kill. So I do agree with the Flame Elemental here. Whoa. Because we want to make sure you have a charge in your hand to play around some freeze effects.
Look at Quonet, shifts in his chair, takes a gander at this and goes, what on earth am I going to do? Well, it's downhill from here.
I don't know if he's put on enough early damage.
He just doesn't have the tools to even answer this. Like, even if he had the damage, like, would he have the time to cast all these spells? No ice block down.
If he doesn't Frostbolt one of these Flame Elementals, he's dead. And I don't know if you can make that read because you have to put Neirea on having 2 chargers. Or 1 South Sea Deckhand because Patches is still in the deck. Or a charger plus a bounce. So maybe you do put him on it.
One of the interesting things I think to note is Stone Tusk Boar was in all of these decks so early on, and how little it's been found in this tournament.
It's gone now.
Players have focused more on the ability to simply fight for value and go. I like Quonet's plan of Frostbolt to face here. His intent is to draw Ice Block, get a Fireball down, and then finish him off with burn spells. But the charge from Neirea is going to end that, and it means that Neirea is on match point for 3 straight games.
We said he was favored going in. I expected to be much closer, but Neirea, even if all 3 of the matchups he had left were like 35%, he's still over a 50% chance to win. That is crazy to think about, and that's an if. And he's got Taunt Warrior left, which, if we think back, we actually got a chance to look at these players' statistics. Neirea has over a 70% win rate, over more than 200 games with Taunt Warrior at high MMR.
Yeah.
It's absolutely absurd.
Now, that being said, remember, in the Bahamas, Neirea was up 2 games to 0. Neirea's not at the World Championships yet.
It was that Warlock deck that we talked about. That was the weakness. In that matchup against Frozen, he lost all 4 of his games in that series with Warlock.
Replace Warlock with Warrior, especially in this metagame. Mind you, the metagame's changed since the Bahamas as well. The deck he's comfortable with, massive win rate. It's right up his alley. I even think he's got some decent matchups across the board. Not great, but they're not bad.
He's got a Mirror matchup from Quonet. He's got a Control Paladin matchup, and he's got a Burn Mage matchup. Those are all decks that are very close to 50% for both. But even then, if you talk about the percentages of those matchups, Neirea is still an overwhelming favorite to win with a 2-0. It's happened before. He's been on the big stage. He's gotten a 2-0 lead and faltered from there. But I don't think we're going to see the same story as we saw in the Bahamas as we move into game number 3.
TJ, I don't want to call it too early. I'm not thinking so either. Look at the focus Neirea has as well. We've seen him in these situations before, and oftentimes he just has like a nervous facial expression, or he seems uneasy. Oh, there it is. Right as I was like, he looks so focused, he's so calm. He's like, wait a minute, hang on, I'm 1 game away. Notice Neirea threw a Fiery War Axe in this mirror match as well in the opening hand. Quonet, Dirty Rat right away. Honestly, Dirty Rat in this matchup is a very key card because the quest progress says play 7 minions with taunt. It doesn't say summon 7, it says play 7. That means you have to actually pay the cost for them. If Quonet's able to pull a taunt minion out of Neirea's hand with that, it delays that progress 1 step further, and it's often a race to that Sulfuros.
It's definitely a race. That's 100% what this matchup is about. It's one of the weirdest sort of control mirrors in the game because they're both trying to race to a point where they can, after they activate their hero power, kill their opponent in just a couple of turns.
And look at how fast they've been playing in contrast with the previous games. Quonet now reminds himself, whoa, slow down a little bit here. Let's think this through. You know, the first 2 turns of the previous 2 games, we had time to tell stories. These guys are rumbling. Well, it's a big one to pull out, but that's not a bad thing for Neirea. He's got Execute in hand. These are relatively weak minions he'd be sacrificing. And again, 1 less taunt that Quonet's going to have as this game moves on. You know, think about the cards he can draw that aren't taunt minions right now. He's got his own Fiery War Axe. He's got Slam. Of course, can replace itself. Sleep with the Fishes, Ravaging Ghoul. Early on, these decks were loaded with taunt minions. Players found out you didn't need that many.
Just needed enough to get there. I remember Stubborn Gastropod was in the deck for a while.
Oh, yeah. That focus from Neirea.
It is very difficult to stay focused on a big stage like this. Everything's on the line. Another Dirty Rat. He's got to think twice about this one, though. Because while he's got removal for the Primordial Drake, if another big top minion were to come out, it'd be a little bit of a different story. Doesn't have a Brawl, doesn't have a second piece of removal. So I like holding on to it, but it is a good card to have in his back pocket.
Curator gets drawn for Quonet, and while that's a great draw for him right now, the thing is we have the top-down vision. We can see all the pieces right now. It may line up to be disaster for Quonet if that Dirty Rat hits the Curator. That's about one of the worst scenarios that can happen in the mirror match, outside of just drawing a horrendous hand. But that doesn't happen very often when you have the redundancy that Taunt Warrior has.
I'm really liking Neirea's chances in this one. Looking at both players' hands side by side, Neirea seems to have a little bit of an edge. He's got a little bit of a resource advantage as well, but Quonet has a chance to reload with Acolyte of Pain plus Whirlwind. If he goes for Acolyte of Pain plus Whirlwind right now as well, he could end up trading over the Primordial Drake. He wouldn't kill it, though. So that's a little bit weird.
He's nervous.
I'd be nervous, too.
Nervous.
This playing for a spot at the World Championship, man.
This was not how he looked in the first two games. Whirlwind picked up for Neirea. He's gonna take it slow. Honestly, the Bloodhoof Brave is holding down combat in a very awkward spot for Quonet, because the first time it gets touched by anything, it immediately goes to 5 power. He can't deliver all that damage in one shot, and that means that he's going to have to make a sacrifice of one of these other minions to finish it off.
What now?
Oh my.
Man.
Well,
Battle Rage.
You can cut that Curator talk with Dirty Rat out of the equation now. Battle Rage has the potential to draw Quonet a massive amount of cards.
4 cards. If he wants, he'd have to attack the Allied Armorsmith twice with the 2 healthy minions.
He couldn't Whirlwind.
He could Whirlwind, but Whirlwind...
Look at Acolyte Whirlwind Battle Rage.
That's 5 cards. 6 cards.
That's a lot of cards. He's not a greedy man. The thing about it is if he makes that play, he cannot make any more quest progress that turn. And I think that's a big factor into his decision right now. So once he sees what his hand looks like, he then can evaluate how much time he has and how much gas he has to work with. So he does get less cards this way, but the trade-off is that he's making quest progress. So development is still the focus here, despite the massive amount of cards Quonet could have just drawn.
Still got the Slither and Tarlord, but there's also a nod towards Booty Bay Bodyguard.
He's got to make a choice. That's a tough one.
Booty Bay Bodyguard allows you to get the taunt out sooner.
Well, the Bloodhoof Brave's holding down a fort. He's facing down 5 minions.
Uh-oh.
Tarlord hits. It's not that bad for Neirea because he's not really on the offensive here anyway. So the Tarlord hitting, it just means that it's another 1 power body on board during Quonet's turn. It gets plus attack while it's your opponent's turn. Doesn't really do much on its own.
Yeah, I mean, none of this board. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 power with 5 giant taunt minions.
And notice
that's not very much.
Neirea playing the Armorsmith here as well. This is the sort of the second stage of the matchup. Is not only do you need to race towards quest progress, but ideally you're at a healthier life total than your opponent. As those Ragnarok shots start raining down turn after turn, a lot of times the player's goal is to direct those shots to the opponent. They're not as concerned with value anymore. It's about closing the game. It makes your opponent overextend. That activates your brawls, your sleep with the fishes, you know, that sort of stuff. The shots to face, though, will threaten to end the game. And so the player with the healthier life total in that situation is usually at a big edge. It's something that you see players like Pavel, who has a fantastic win rate with Quest Warrior, players like Kolento, they pay very close attention to it. This board is starting to get out of hand, though.
Primordial Drake doesn't really help in this situation, but Harrison Jones is going to get him one step closer. Quonet can complete the quest this turn. And if you have the board and you're the first player to complete the quest, you have a significant advantage. I cannot stress how important that Battle Rage draw was.
Like the push. No reason to trade off that Harrison Jones.
Neirea still needs 2 more top minions.
How on earth does Neirea win this game?
Crazy to think about the difference in our tone towards this matchup as it progressed. Battle Rage completely changed the way I looked at this game.
It's so important to have that draw mechanism.
Yeah.
I've talked a lot with Frodan about this matchup, and says he loves to watch Kolento play it. That time after time, he demonstrates the importance of drawing those extra cards, even as you're seemingly dominating the game, as you're ahead. The most important facet is still having something in the tank. You can't rely solely on the Sophiros if you want consistency in your game plan.
That Primordial Drake does not line up well against this Rag shot, but to be honest, Quonet might start turning the corner.
This is the time to do it too, and you know, I talked about the importance of directing those shots. The attack here with Stonehill Defender, execute this Primordial Drake, Sophiros, and then the hero power for it, that leads to a lot of damage. And it's looking like that's where he's thinking as well. That damage swing now overcomes the amount of armor Neirea was able to get, still ahead on board, and that's about as bad as it gets for Neirea.
You may think, why didn't he just hero power first? He could have gotten that Primordial Drake for free without using any resources. It's not about that. It's about 0.8 damage to the face every single turn.
Just turned execute into 8 damage. That's why.
2-mana 8 damage seems pretty good to me, Admirable.
It's a little bit better than Mind Blast.
Not Mind Blast Velen, but pretty close.
Look at the desperation here. Neirea has to fight back from behind now.
But he is at 13 health, and Quonet is at 36.
Yep, and you're going to see Primordial Drake here wipe this out and continue to direct those shots. Now every single turn, Neirea is at risk of lethal, at the mercy of the Sulfuros. Still 2 brawls in Quonet's deck. Every time Neirea's wide on board. It'll either isolate and kill the minion, or it'll kill Neirea.
I don't really see a way out.
For the grace of the cards. He's got to kill this Primordial Drake. He's got to get that Ragnarok shot going. He's got to hope that he dodges those giant flaming balls. If I don't even know what they are. They're just giant flaming things, and you don't want to be hit by them because they hurt.
It's magic, Admirable.
Well, he activates it first here. Valley Armorsmith is interesting.
I think he needs to go a little bit wider. And he needs to start getting the potential of additional armor gain.
Not safe from the shot just yet. Sleep with the Fishes and with Fiery War Axe.
It's not quite there. Sleep with the Fishes still deals damage.
So could he execute first? Oh, he brawls first. Oh, I'm pretty sure that does it. Brawl.
Yeah, that's it. Brawl, no matter what survives,
four.
Fire War Axe comes down, and the Ragnaros hero power will end the game. Is Neirea seeing his lead slip away once again?
Well, this match is a volatile mirror match, to be sure. But it was the draw of Battle Rage that really changed the scope of the game. It looked like Quonet was a bit far ahead. Hitting the Primordial Drake from Dirty Rat was still a big impact, even with the amount of time that Neirea bought with the Bloodhoof Brave dynamic on board. It was just too awkward to really combat it. He was so close, but he's got 2 more chances.
He's got to find a win with that Tom Warrior. Fellow European Hoy is already waiting at the World Championship. Stanu Dacia, a player that Neirea knows well, won the Winter Championship. Now Neirea in a situation again where he's in quarterfinals, had a 2-0 lead. Can he close this one out?
I mean, can't be. The one thing that he needs to not do right now is think about that. If he's thinking back to that event, that means he's not focusing on the game. And with the way Neirea looked in that game, looked like he was thinking about it.
Yeah, he's really got to just focus, take it one game at a time, and find that win with Tom Warrior. But as the players get ready for the next game in this quarterfinal, don't worry, guys, we still got plenty more Hearthstone action to come today.
Greetings from Shanghai, my friends. Don't you stray too far away from that fire. There's more tales to tell. Coming up from China, RDU and Kolento.
There they are on your screen, 2 titans of the game in RDU and Kolento. I honestly don't even know who I want to win that one or who I even expect to win that one, but these are 2 of the players with the most successful careers in Hearthstone's short history.
Kolento in the hunt for his 2nd World Championship. RDU, Romania was ineligible to compete in 2014. 2015, he was so close. 2016, he was so close. So now in 2017, he's so close. When's it gonna happen, Tej? Next.
We'll see.
Find out next time on
the Hearthstone Championship Tour.
Game 4.
I spot a Mana Worm.
I also spot 2 Arcanologists.
This matchup is tough enough as it is. Even Medivh, well, maybe not a good draw right now. Definitely a force to be reckoned with once we get to those stages of the game.
No Fiery War Axe, and that's one of the key cards in this matchup. Just 2nd Mana Worm gets drawn.
Incredible discovery!
Quonet has a tremendous amount of early pressure. I must say that Neirea looks a lot more calm in this game, though.
Sort of got to tell yourself that it's not about what happened in the past or what you expect to happen. It's about focusing on the game that you're in right now and making sure that you make the best possible play every single turn.
And this 2nd Mana Worm draw, I think, means a lot for Quonet right now. Mana Worm's hitting, Coin will buff them both up, Ice Block both and buff them both up, cuts that Acolyte down. 1 single draw for Neirea. That's a card you often expect to draw you 2 cards. And instead, he's facing 8 power.
This is not an aggressive deck. Even if you get to this early board, you're still looking at a powerful mid game, a powerful late game, a ton of burn in the deck.
But this really just means that Quonet has a lot of hard-hitting cards left in his deck right now. When you draw these early starts, most of the rest of it is pressure. You know, you're looking at Eater of Secrets, Volcanic Potion, Ice Barrier. Not great draws. Almost everything else is heat.
What to do? What to do?
And the Medivh's waiting in the wings. We saw the party he threw at Karazhan. Polymorph here just to start pushing damage.
I like it.
No brawl, no sleep. Well, that's going to slow things down a bit.
I mean,
oh, wait, no, it buffs it up.
It buffs up the Mana Worm, still just lets him run this over and keep pushing damage. He can push 7 more. He's going to put Neirea down to 14. He's got a Firelands portal in hand. This game may end a lot sooner than I expected. Brawl, there's only 2 minions on board.
And look at Neirea's face when he drew the Brawl. It's like, come on, I needed that last turn. If he had Brawl last turn, you know, he could have potentially pulled 8 power off the board.
An autocrat? I suppose.
Laser focus. His eyes are darting at everything right now. He's paying attention to every small element. There it is.
Incredible discovery!
We have now vengeance.
Another important thing about these Arcanologists early on, not only is it just an early board, but it also thinnens the deck. Gets those secrets out, which are not great draws in the later stages.
Ooh, second Ravaging Ghoul. This is danger territory for Neirea, though. His life total has just dwindled so much that he is under the threat of burn spells until he climbs out of this. So now that he's drawn the second Ravaging Ghoul, he's 1 turn away from Primordial Drake. He's got 2 Armor Smiths. Where does he have time to fit these in so that way he can re-stabilize that health total?
I think these Ravaging Ghouls are slated for Armor Smiths. I think we might be seeing a Brawl. It's pretty rare that a Mage's board gets wider than 3 minions.
There we go. There is one really bad outcome here. It's not it.
It's about medium. Primordial Glyph. Alex Draza, not really that useful to Neirea, but he's already below 15 health.
It's actually kind of a liability draw at this point.
Man, we talked about Neirea's ladder record with Warrior, but he is struggling in this event. 1-4 so far with Warrior in the Spring Championship. This deck has given him some trouble. And again, it looks like he's in trouble.
It's got to be Primordial.
Yeah, these Armor Smiths are pretty queued up for that Ravaging Ghoul, and the draw for Quonet is Arcane Intellect. So he can keep him closer to burn. Is it time for Medivh?
Well, the one thing Quonet, I think, can defer from Neirea's hand is that Execute's not a very high possibility right now. I mean, he certainly would have executed one of the Mana Worms by that rate. Fireball for Quonet.
He can get through this Primordial Drake.
It put him a single point off lethal on this turn. So he's going to Arcane Intellect and see if he can find something, which right now is looking like burn. If he finds another burn spell, he is all but won this game.
Oh, that's a Pyroblast.
Oh,
and that's a Fireball.
My gosh. Neirea is in big trouble.
He can set double Armor Smith and rallying Ravaging Ghoul. Which one's more armor? Double Armor Smith Ravaging Ghoul or Armor Smith Ravaging Ghoul Ravaging Ghoul?
Double Armor Smith because of the attack.
Is that enough?
I don't think it keeps him alive, though. He'd get 6 armor from the Ravaging Ghoul. That'd bring him to 13, 14, 15 from the hero power, 16, 17 from the attack. So it would keep him out of lethal range this turn.
But over 2 turns. Actually, He's got second Ravaging Ghoul.
That's the thing, is it depends on if the Armor Smiths actually stick to the board or not. I wanted to talk about this turn with Medivh here because it seemed like Neirea didn't have an execute. Again, I'm pretty sure he would have executed one of those 5-power Mana Worms instead of just sending something into the fray to die. If that Medivh had hit instead, you'd be looking at Neirea under the pressure of value and under the pressure of his life total. That's the two-pronged attack. That's really too much. But Neirea, if he's going to win here,
that's the play.
That is the play. He needed to play the second Armor Smith. And so now have the tables flipped. With Alex Straza being an almost complete dead draw at this point, Dirty Rat services as very little other than Armor Smith fodder alongside Ravaging Ghoul.
12 damage, 15 damage.
But Quonet,
available this
look
turn.
at the burn he's got. If he launches all this burn to Neirea's face, it means he has to have another way to damage all of his minions or he can't gain any more armor. So Quonet's gonna launch 2 fireballs. He's gonna hero power Neirea, and this lets Neirea know the damage is in hand.
This turn, he can gain 10 points of armor. Now even more armor with the Stonehill Defender.
I think Neirea's gonna get out of this.
Dirty Rat. Medivh's Valet, that's just more burn that he's pulling. And a Stonehill Defender, and a Ravaging Ghoul. That's 12 armor with the hero power. That's 14 points of armor.
Ali Armor Smith to compound it. Ravaging Ghoul, armor up.
He's even gonna gain more armor because he can queue up some of these attacks into the Medivh's Valet. He can gain 2 additional armor by attacking with the Ravaging Ghoul.
Doesn't want to use the Armor Smith. They service better right now.
Yeah, if there's AoE that comes out, he's gonna gain even more health.
Back to 20. The patience that he showed in this game, he was under so much pressure, but he kept his focus. He stayed calm, said, this is the turn. If I survive here, I can get out of it. And that Volcanic Potion will clear Armor Smiths, but that gives another 12 armor to Neirea if it's the case.
What's the plan here for Quonet? I mean, if he wants to gain a lot of armor, Sleep with the Fishes is the way to do it. Sleep with the Fishes will damage all of his 3 health minions. He can gain another 10 health, 12 with the hero power.
Quonet, he kind of looked down and he smiled like, I think this is it. Neirea, he will feel safe at 12, but will he have an opportunity to get more armor value than what he's got right now? We're gonna find out.
I like just the Ali Armor Smith. If AoE comes out, he gains enough armor. 12 is safe because there's a natural fireball gone, a primordial glyph gone.
It would take Medivh's Valet Frostbolt Fireball or some combination of the 2-3 damage spells plus Fireball.
How confident does he feel? Does he want to cash in on these Armor Smiths now? He would kill off both of his Armor Smiths, his Primordial Drake, and his Stonehill Defender.
Mind you, with all the pressure that Neirea's undergoing right now, how closely has he been able to process hand reading? Like, he's clearly been nervous during this match. Feel safe.
I like the War Axe.
That's some presence of mind right there. Keep the pressure high. Can't take care of that Ali Armor Smith, and that's a big detriment. Frostbolt to face, hero power face. He's saying, Neirea, you need to have a way to damage your own minions, or I have Primordial Glyph into Pyroblast as my out. That's the way that Quonet wins here. But Neirea's got Sleep with the Fishes. He's got the Ali Armor Smith. He's got Slam. He's climbing out of that situation.
He could pop the block here, but it would force him to give up his armor up. He's got 10 damage on the board, plus a Soul Frost, plus a hero power. I think at this point, he's just gaining armor. He's gonna pop the block next turn regardless. If you Sleep with the Fishes, then Stonehill Defender's gonna die anyway. If he felt safe at 12, he's definitely gonna feel safe at 14. Especially with another Frostbolt burn in the last turn.
I'd venture to say so.
He does have to account for multiple draws, though, because he Arcane Intellect last turn, so that's 2 more draws that he has to account for over the course. Sleep with the Fishes, Soul Frost, Hero Power. No, he's not going to go for it. Just going to gain the armor.
I think it's wise to do so. Cash in on that.
Yeah, he doesn't need those minions anymore because at the moment, he does have a way to pop the block next turn. 24 life.
Oh, he draws the Primordial Glyph,
Is
too.
it enough?
Well,
it's just not.
It's crazy to think about how close this game has been. And even though Quonet's game plan is a Hail Mary in this spot, that looking at the glyph in hand, without that Sleep with the Fishes, you may have been seeing that happen.
Now the plan here for Quonet has to change. He's not going to get through 24 health, even if Primordial Glyph picks up the perfect burn. He would need to Primordial Glyph into Kabbalist Tome, into a combination of
the Infinite Ice Block.
Yeah, Infinite Ice Block or Ice Blocks with combination burn spells.
Think about how much different this game could have been if Quonet played Medivh.
Yeah.
He had the pressure, he had the lead, he had value.
How much can you expect, though? You have almost a guaranteed lethal next turn unless your opponent gains 6 or more armor in a single turn. I don't think we can be in Quonet's shoes and change the way he played. Neirea had the armor gain, but it is interesting to think about. Quonet picks up second Ice Block, so he has a few turns for himself to buy.
Importantly, it's a 1-cost Ice Block, too.
Fitting a lot of stuff with that.
Alexstrasza.
That's the key. He can defensive Alexstrasza and play Ice Block in the same turn, which could not only put him out of range of Ice Block being popped to buy him 2 additional turns, but it also puts an A down on the board. And while Neirea does have a lot of health, one thing that he lacks right now is board pressure.
I have an axe to grind. I must choose.
I don't think he's willing to give up armor up just yet.
I wouldn't be either. You've got plenty left to fight with. Quonet's the one who's got to make the plays here first, not you. Keep building that health total.
Quonet can build up a pretty significant board here. Needs to Ice Block. Can trade into Ali Armorsmith or Bloodhoof Brave. Flame Strike, Ice Block, Medivh's Valet. Clear board.
Excuse me. You are on fire.
It's looking like a brawl. Alexstrasza is actually, it's gonna be scary.
It is.
The 1-1 lives, the worst result
That is
for Quonet.
very big.
And if Neirea's swinging this turn, there you go. It's like hang on there. 1-1's not dealing that much damage.
Also knows the Gluttonous Ooze is still a possibility from Quonet, so doesn't set the Soul Frost. Also doesn't quite want to give up his armor up just yet.
He's going to have to here, though. He has got to pressure that Alexstrasza. Whirlwind first to isolate. And this will do one of two things. Kill the Alexstrasza or threaten lethal on Quonet. Alexstrasza gone. Where's the reach from Quonet? Medivh is gone. Alex is gone. Fireland's portal is gone. The glyphs are gone.
He's got Meteor,
An eater of secrets.
it's slim pickings in Quonet's deck right now, and Neirea is still at 27 life.
Hit that button.
Every single turn.
Under threat of the pop. Allie Armorsmith. Threat to stabilize. Second Volcanic Potion, the worst draw in Quonet's deck.
I would have even taken a Neirea of Secrets over that. At least it's putting something on the board to try and redirect that damage from your face.
He is miles away from killing Neirea right now. Hit the button. No
Just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Quonet is in an impossible situation.
You said you'd rather have Eater of Secrets, but you didn't mean it! And Neirea's gonna take the set 3-1 and find himself going to the World Championships.
A story of redemption if I've ever heard one. Neirea, top 8 at Winter Championship.
Really? I guess we just got later. Yeah, I mean, I play real Neirea. I did that too.
Some words among the players as well. That's how you know there's passion in the game, when the first thing they want to do is talk about what happened. Quonet, his run ends here, but what a story from Neirea. A tough group for him, and moves on to the semifinals, and also qualifies himself for his second World Championship, an accolade that not many players to date have done.
No siree, Bob. Once upon a time, that was reserved solely for players named Kranich, who was in this tournament in the hunt for his third. His run came short, but Neirea, the hunt begins for the next title.
Yeah, Tice as well. Those 3 players, the only 3 at this point. Kolento can do it as well, but for now, let's go on stage with Ali for some words with our winner.
All right, congratulations to Neirea， 掌声送给 Neirea， 哇，非常精彩的比赛，尤其是最后一轮，实在是太惊心动魄了。他现在即将，明年呢就会去我们的世界总决赛，看他心情如何。So finally you're going to the Worlds. How are you feeling now?
Feeling good, I guess.
One word, feeling good. You're so chilled, man. Talk about the last game. It's like everyone's, I mean, it's so intense. How are you feeling?
So I played well until like one moment when I used Sleep as the Fishes. I really spaced out, and since rope was already burning, I could have popped him on the same turn, and so he would have no chance afterwards. But it was already like 5 seconds, and animation would probably last longer. So I made a huge misplay. But I also, in that game, I risked not playing Armorsmith after the brawl or before the brawl, because he could have killed me. I was on 8 HP, he could have killed me with a lot of combination of cards. But I thought that I can't win if I don't get this big Armorsmith turns.
好，那么他刚才说了，他觉得最后一场比赛他一开始打的都还好，但是有一次呢，由于要烧神，他害怕动画效果来不及，所以他出那张鱼丝网破卡片的时候，他觉得并没有出到位。如果他在那局能处理比较好呢，可能会更早的结束比赛。同时呢，他也比较犹豫自己在铸甲师这张牌的使用出牌的时间，他认为也是比较难把握的。但总而言之呢，最后还是赢了哈，虽然赢的并不是那么轻松，我相信现场的朋友们也看得非常的带劲儿，对不对？再次给Neirea掌声鼓励一下，嗨！我在后面看的，心里面压力都非常非常的大。All right. Okay. So when you lost the third game, so did you feel that, oh no, here we go again?
I felt a bit that because he can't sweep my Taunt Warrior, and Taunt Warrior is probably one of the best matchups besides like Paladin. But you know, in what like Mage should beat my Warrior pretty consistently because he runs Meteor and Polymorph. So I was like, yeah, he wins this Mage versus Warrior, and then like a close matchup versus Paladin. Yeah, maybe I can choke again like last time.
好，我刚才问他问题呢，是本来2-0，非常的顺利，但是第3局他输了之后，他是否感受到有一些压力啊？他说确实如此，因为他的防战，本来对阵骑士的时候优势就不是很大，后来对阵法师，他觉得自己可能也会有一些问题啊，压力真的特别的大。不过最后呢，对方确实也犯了一些小的错误啊，他抓住了对方的错误，赢得了比赛哈。我觉得真的运气特别好啊，他也是一个奋斗了很久才最终拿到了我们世锦赛最终入场券的选手，他即将进入我们的4强，明年也会进入世界锦标赛的总决赛。让我们再次恭喜我们的 Neirea. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Neirea. What a good job. What a good game. Right?
Man, what a performance. And, you know, one of the first things that these players do is they sort of look back on where they thought they misplayed. And, you know, maybe he could have done it. He wouldn't have gained a significant amount of armor. But the thing he was talking about was if he had popped the block then, he wouldn't have given Quonet a time to be able to play Primordial Glyph and get another ice block. So maybe a very small one, because gaining 20 life still feels pretty good over the course of a couple turns. But definitely a great performance from Neirea. Incredibly excited to have him at another World Championship.
It's just so incredible. We're going to have a guaranteed 3 Europeans in the semifinals, as our next match is RDU versus Kolento. So the 2 of them won their quarterfinal matches, and now 2 of them have to face off against each other. They really tried to get 4 through, but the brackets didn't work out the way they anticipated in this one. But for Neirea, it's been years in the making to get this spot for him. It's very rare that you see a big of a smile as he had up on that stage, but man, does it feel good to see.
Yeah, Neirea also is the 3rd consecutive player from the lower seed from his group, so the 2nd seed from a group to win. So overcoming adversity a little bit for the players now, and if you've ever doubted that skill